Okay, so I start again because it wasn't recording. So yeah, if I tap on this, is pretty much similar to the Android version. If I tap on this, it comes here. Of course, I am already logged in. That's why it brings me here. Otherwise, of course, it would ask for the credentials for me to log in. This is the study that we created yesterday. I just joined to see how it works. You have your actions here that I found another bug here. Well, I don't know why it doesn't appear. It was supposed to, well, here it is. Here it is. I think I figured it out. Cancel, leave. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's a bit not as smooth as we expect, but we're working on it. So you can see this is one of the surveys that we created as a user-triggered survey. So we had two surveys. We had a context-based survey and a user-triggered survey. So for user-triggered survey, it's easy. You come to the app. There's a button there. You tap on that button. I'm going to do that right now. And it starts the survey. For example, this is question 1. Please choose one, for example, option 1. And there is a visual analog scale. You can type a number. This is I think this is a mass question that, for example, type the question content here, like 25 pound or kg. You can increase it, decrease it, and so on. Done. Next page. It's a bit fancier than iPhone, than the Android version. It has this cool animation for, oh, it didn't work. So another demo. Okay, yeah. So this is so when you press next, it kind of like goes to the next page, and then you can answer these questions. Next, single, something. Next. It same gives you a message if you don't answer all the questions. Yeah, I want to skip this question. Goes next one. Unemployed. Submit. Comes back to the home screen.
So where is the button to trigger survey?
I think this one, I'm not sure why it doesn't show any text here. I think either the text...
It might be just terribly, it might be user error.
It might, yeah. My suspicion is that we actually left the title blank when we were designing the survey. That's why it shows a button but doesn't show any text.
Yeah, and there's a little greater than sign that indicates
Yeah.
there's a button there.
Yeah, so the button is here, but, well, there's no text on it. So there is, for example, another, I think I'm feeling sick. I think this is also another survey that we created yesterday that we said, for example, we select the gender, and then we say if you have a fever or not, and if yes, we ask for the temperature. So I say yes, I ask for my temperature. I say, for example, 40, and submit. It's very similar. Like okay, let me register in a study as well. I think one of the studies we created yesterday was 117, maybe, if I remember correctly.
73. The good.
Okay.
The oldie but goodie.
73?
If you want to.
Sure.
Maybe you'll achieve some compliance.
So it loads the, yeah, shows like you are joining this study. The same name and description that we designed appears here as well. If I press register, okay, you have successfully registered in study.
This one has some buttons.
Yes, if I find it. So
it was probably one of those demo studies, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
sample study. Yeah, okay, there you go.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. So I would like to exercise, but I can't. Why? Because of my weight. Next. Very cool. Photo. Say cheese. Use this photo. Submit. Yeah. And so what was this? Here is the study. So it's pretty much the same. Also the settings, like oh, sorry. Okay. Also the settings has pretty much the same options that we had in Android. It's very much similar in terms of user interface. Where it's very different, we expect to be different is one area is the streams. Android generally gives you a bit more flexibility in terms of monitoring different streams. That's why we had very very unique streams like app usage statistics or screen state or continuous battery monitoring and so on. In iPhone has a policy that when an app goes to background, it only has 5 seconds more to do anything that it has to do, and then it will, the system doesn't allow it to do anything. And background means that as soon as I press the home button here, now the app is gone to background. So right from now, the app has 5 seconds to do anything that it wants to do, and after 5 seconds, completely stops. Now, there are some sensors we can collect in the background because they're justified. Those are motion sensors, being like accelerometer, gyroscope, and the physical activity sensors that we discussed. There's GPS that we can monitor in the background. So these two groups of sensors are available. iBeacon sensors are also available, not Bluetooth, but iBeacon. That's why Bluetooth actually doesn't even work on iPhone. If we want to record contact pattern, we have to use one of these beacon technologies. We can monitor those as well. This covers 3 big areas of sensor-based data monitoring. One is location, basically mobility pattern, contact pattern, and activity, these 3. But beyond that, it's basically...
They're enabled now, is that right? GPS and activity?
They are not enabled now, but they're going to be very easy addition to this. Probably in maybe a couple of weeks up to a month, we have them added. Yeah. But anything except this is going to be very tricky. When I'm saying tricky, the other thing is that one difference between Android and Google Play Store and Apple iTunes is that Google Play says that, well, as long as you can write the app, you can upload it, we don't care what it is. iTunes says that when you upload the app, we actually ask some of the, like a human to review that, and then if it complies with all of our requirements, then we allow it to get submitted. It means that if we actually can find a trick to make it to work, they can find it out, and then they can prevent the app to be released.
So when you push out a survey, or when you push out a study to a bunch of users who, some of whom have got iPhones, some of whom have got Android, and when in that first screen where they're registering, it says we're going to collect information on GPS, gyroscope, and this, in the iPhone it will just show the first couple of streams, and then it will ignore
ignores the rest.
Everything else, whereas in the Android it will show the full list.
Shows the full list, exactly. Now, now that's when the app goes to background. Basically means that I just go home. Now, the app can be killed in iPhone as well. The way that you can do it is you just double tap on home screen, it shows here, and you swipe it up. Right now, I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but if I go in this list, come here, select my app, and just basically swipe it up, and now the app is killed. What it means is that it can't even monitor the 3 streams that we have. It can't do anything right now, unless user starts it again. So the app is totally dead. We don't get any data from them. In Android, user has to go through a lot more to stop our app from operating, basically, because they have to basically go to settings, select our app, press force stop, and then when they restart the phone next time, our app is back up again. So we can be very sticky in that sense. But in iPhone, no, you can't do that thing. It's prohibited. We hope people don't do that, and that's all we can do. We can just ask them, please don't kill the app. Just make sure that's always running. It's running in the background. Yes?
You can send push notifications when the app is killed,
I
right?
was actually just going to talk about that when we talk about surveys. Now, surveys, if you remember, I mentioned that each survey has a bunch of questionnaire, and a logic that, based on the data that we monitored, decides which questionnaire has to be issued. That has a big assumption there, that the logic can continuously run in the background, analyze the question, analyze the context, and figure out whether the questionnaire has to be issued or not. And running things in the background is not possible in iPhone. And that's how iPhone is actually very fast, because it just doesn't allow anything to run in the background. That's their secret sauce. So what we thought we can do is to basically, as soon as we collect the data, immediately upload it to the server. And the whole context analyzer that we talked about, instead of running on the phone, it can run on the server side. What this requires is that people have to be connected to the internet 24/7. If they're not connected to the internet, they won't get any surveys. Because we don't get their context, we can't process it, we can't send them notifications.
So killed, the notification still comes through, is that right?
When the app is killed, we don't receive any data from them. We don't receive the context.
Yeah.
Why we don't receive the context? Because, well, none of the streams that we talked about, not GPS or those ones, is not monitored anymore. But assuming that we still want to issue a survey, we can send a notification to the app, but there is a very specific limitations of what that notification can do. And what it explicitly can do is that it shows something here, but we can't execute any code. We can just show something here. Oops. I should have been more careful. We can show something.
It appears up the top there, and they've actually got to.
They have to click on it, and then we can, for example, if you have a criteria that, yes, release this, but only if they have answered this question in a specific way, the way that we were defining the criteria. Visible, yes. We can't evaluate that criteria and decide whether the notification has to be shown or not until they tap on it. So there might be cases, depends on the case by case, of course, there might be cases that they get the notification here as a survey, they tap on it, and then we tell them, oh, sorry, forget about it, that was just yeah, that's not a survey. For time-based surveys, I think we have found a way that it works. The way that we do it, as soon as you join the study, we calculate all the times that the survey has to be issued and schedule some message to pop up. That probably works. But for more complicated contexts, we still have to work how that can be possible to implement. So the point being, in terms of UI, it's pretty much similar. But in terms of how it works, we expect, especially for more complicated and complex studies, we expect it to be quite different.
Do you think that's likely to change with the whole Apple's whole initiative on the health platform, the health kit?
No, I don't think so. And it's not their priority because they don't want to open up something to developers that potentially can be used in harmful ways. So the approach of Apple is that always they put user first and second and third and so on. Developers are not their top priority, and that's why in development community they are not as loved as Google is, because they usually make the developers' life very hard. So because they introduce a lot of regulations and a lot of limitations of how you can do things, so which developers community usually don't like those limitations.
So if you build something in Apple Research Kit, it would have the same limitations.
Exactly, and that's why ResearchKit doesn't focus on continuous background monitoring, but they focus on controlled tasks. For example, you open the app, and under Actions, you have some bunch of tasks that you press task 1, and it asks you, please watch for 10 minutes while the app is open. And then you watch for 10 minutes, and they measure all the sensors with high frequency at that 10 minutes, and that's one event that they can analyze. Yeah. They can monitor data in the background as well, but with the exact same limitations that I talked about. You can't go beyond that.
Yeah, as soon as they kill the data stops.
The data stops, yeah. So they basically just ask you not to kill the app. Okay. So the same limitations are for ResearchKit as well. And actually, at some point, we were thinking about using ResearchKit for our system, because ResearchKit is a programming interface that allows you to create research applications. Like, for example, it gives you a few components that you can create surveys and so on. We decided not to because of some limitations that it has. For example, I think some of the question types was not supported and so on. And the deal was you either should use all of it or none of it. And we decided to use just none of it because there were some flexibilities that we needed and they were not offering. I think one of them was showing like enabling and disabling some questions or skipping some pages and so on. I can't remember exactly what was the tipping point, but we decided not to use it. But basically, the point is that it was very similar to, well, the final result can be similar to this that what we're offering.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So any more questions? Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks everyone for your attention to those couple